All right, it says I'm live. I'm going to give it a second to make sure. Look at me already and right on time this morning. I pretty much was watching right when the time switched over the 10 a.m. so I could hop right on. I love those days that just works. All right, and it's caught up and I see it there. So welcome everybody. Good morning. Um, it's funny, it's kind of a Tuesday that feels a little bit like a Monday. I see Leah just hopped in the comments. So if you watched our live last week, you saw that Leah was here visiting this past week. I just took her back to the airport. She went home yesterday. So today's kind of, like I said, it kind of feels like a Monday in a weird way. We kind of worked over the weekend with our scrapbook event, but just kind of settling back into the quieter routine a little bit. So don't get to see us both physically live here today, but I am creating today with the Sakura, mainly the stamp die stencil. I'll probably show the washi a little bit in there as well. But with the time of year it is here, at least in Washington, there are so many cherry blossoms, and blossoming trees just in general are just exploding. When Leo was here, we had to, I mean, like everywhere we were driving, she was seeing them and we found a fun spot to go photograph some in a few different places so she could have those to take home. I think it's in the last couple days where she's at has gotten probably more snow than they got all winter. So we're kind of sliding into spring here and they're kind of sliding backwards into winter. So um, I'm sure a lot of you are in the same boat in that winter weather. So hopefully it'll be fun to kind of see some spring and blossoms on today's cards. Oh, Mom full of joy, thank you. It's kind of a fairly new one, so it's fun to pull it out and wear it today. So thank you, I appreciate that. Good morning, everybody. Yes, Flora, the Sakura set is stunning. I'm super excited about this one. Holly's taking pictures of bluebonnets. That must be in Texas somewhere. So, Kelly, yeah, winter in Minnesota finally arrived, and you're probably all ready for it to actually be gone now. So, Leah, I guess it's still March at least. At least we haven't actually slid into April. That would probably be a little worse. So, all right. I think we've probably got a good amount of people that have found us. So I'm going to go over a couple of our basic things that we always talk about before we get going on these lives. Um, and then we'll flip the camera around and we'll go ahead and get started on our card for today. So first up, welcome to everybody, but especially if you're joining us new, we always want to extend a special welcome. We'd love if you put in the comments that this is your first live, if you haven't been here before, or maybe you just haven't popped in the comments and chatted, so we had a chance to say hello. I'm going to say a blanket hello now. I'll kind of try and watch, but especially once I get creating, if I miss any of those, welcome everybody else. We'll also welcome you on there. We have a great crowd of people that join us on most of these weeks. We also give away a $15 gift card every week on these lives. The way you enter to win that is just what everyone's doing already. Have fun in the chat. Just chat along with each other. If you have a question, feel free to ask me or someone else. If you see a question you know the answer to, if you're just wanting to kind of chat with everyone in the chat, that's great. All of those are an entry. One other way that you can enter is by sharing this video. And there's lots of ways you can do that. It can be in an email or a message to a friend on your own social media. If you're part of a crafty group and you know it's allowed in the rules, grab that link and share it over there. And then just leave another comment here letting us know you shared. Otherwise, we don't know that you did. So if you do that, then that also will count as another entry. Leah is behind the scenes on the Pinkfresh Studio name. So she will be the one that picks that winner at the end. She also does a great job of catching any of those questions or comments that I miss, especially when I start crafting. So feel free to kind of tag her or chime in if there's something that you miss. But to help kind of shrink some of those questions, I do have everything linked in the video description that I'm using today. So if you have questions on what set I'm using or what ink, it's all released. There's no sneak peeks today. So you can find that all there, which is just kind of a great reference. And I do see lifelong learner. This is their first time watching. So welcome. We're so glad that you're here. And I see lots of people excited about the Sakura set today. So I'm super excited as well. All right, so I think that is Oh, one other thing that we just love, it's not an entry in the giveaway or anything like that. It's just something we really appreciate is if you hit that little thumbs up button under the video. That just helps more people find us, whether now while we're live or on the replay later, so that we can kind of keep doing these lives and expand out and grow our circle a little more of those that join us. So we're really grateful if you do that if you're enjoying the video. All right. And created by hand since she placed her first washi collection order. I think you're going to get addicted and love it. And Joyfield, I see another first time. So since I'm here and seeing it, welcome, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera around and then we'll go ahead and get started on today's card. So bear with me as I make that switch. There's always that kind of freeze. So I always try and kind of make sure my face isn't in the middle of two different expressions. And I'm going to put my tea away here real quick. I've mostly just been sitting there holding it because my hands were cold. So trying to get them warmed up so I'm ready to craft today. It might be spring here, but it's definitely not crazy warm. I can say that much. All right, let me grab real quick. Just realized. This is the Sakura. I think I have a panel. I do. I have one panel all stretched out. So this is the washi tape that comes with this set. It's so beautiful. It's got that beautiful gold foiling. You can put it on white cardstock. One of my personal favorites is putting it on vellum, which just gives a beautiful soft look that kind of preserves that washi transparency. And you can also put it on colored cardstock. We've seen lots of people do that, and it's a beautiful, different look. Betty, your mom lives in Bellingham. Oh, I'm so glad. Yes, I live really close to those. So I definitely love popping out to visit those. All right. So this is the washi tape. This card would be super quick and easy today, what we're creating to recreate with the washi. So I wanted to point that out because these just make cards so quick, so easy. I love playing with them. But the coordinating dies that cut that washi tape that makes it so easy to work with also work with the Stampin' Stencil. And I love that it stretches, gives you so many more options for colors and ideas that way. And then if you're buying dies, you're not just buying dies for a roll of washi that eventually you'll use up and maybe not want to use anymore. So you can kind of get the most from all of your supplies. Also, if you're not really a fan of ink blending and layering stencils, you can always just get the stamp. You can watercolor, use markers or colored pencils. So there really is, with this one set and one design, so many different ways to use them. And I absolutely love that. So today we're going to focus on the Stampin' Stencils. I'm going to start off here with the stamp set. And we're going to go ahead and get that image stamped out. Now it is a little bit of a long image, but I'm going to use, I've discovered it'll fit. Hold on, I got to grab it. My Misty just out of reach. It doesn't quite fit for me. It might be close, but it doesn't quite fit just straight. But I've definitely discovered that it fits really well at a diagonal like this. So we're just going to use our Misty, stamp at a diagonal, and that's going to work great. So I'm going to make sure I have this lined up in my Misty. I'm aiming for this bottom right corner just to make sure I have it somewhere consistent. And there's lots of different options for this. I actually do have it already stamped and heat embossed in gold pearl, which would be a great option. But I kind of thought it would be fun. I'm going to mix and match a few different ink bundles or ink families. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to do this outline in a purple tone. And I was a little torn between these two colors, which one I wanted to do. And I decided to heat emboss to kind of give it a different look. So these are just kind of some smudges of ink, and I put embossing ink over the top and some different embossing. I'm just going to use clear embossing powder, but it's kind of a good way to test if you're kind of not sure what you want to do. And I think I came down to, I wanted to use Candy Violet. So that's what we're going to do today. And then ink blend our colors on there like that. So again, I'm going to make sure that that is stuck down in that corner really well. I'm going to stamp this first, just because then I'll be able to see where I've got it stamped. in Candy Violet. And then I will stamp over the top with clear embossing ink to be able to heat emboss this image. So we're just going to stamp out, actually, that really stamped pretty well. I'm going to hit a few spots. I just want to make sure it's a really good clear image. And we probably could ink blend over this and stamp, or I could stamp it in a softer color and skip the heat embossing. But I think the look of the clear embossing ink over it is going to be kind of fun. There we go. I think that tiny, let's see, it's on that one. I think I'm just not getting the ink in there as I'm going over the whole thing. And that's a little spot. I just want to, there we go. That's better. All right. I'm going to do a quick little simple clean off of that purple, just so I don't get it on my clear embossing ink powder or ink pad, not powder. Powder doesn't matter. And then I'm going to leave this all lined up exactly how it is and just grab some clear embossing ink to stamp right over the top. That way you can have any custom color of heat embossing that you want, which is good. Make sure that that's still lined up in the corner there. Sure, I've got a really good impression of that clear embossing ink. And then set that aside for the moment and grab my clear embossing ink to heat emboss this. I think I said clear embossing ink again. I meant my clear embossing powder. I don't know why I'm having trouble keeping my inks and powders straight today, but it seems to be a problem. So if I say the wrong thing, look at what I'm doing, not what I'm saying. Shall we just go with that theory? Do as I say, not as I do. Do as I do, not as I say. I guess that's the reverse of that. Okay. Looks like a really good coating of that clear embossing ink. And only a little bit messiness on the desk. Vacuum that up real quick. Okay. And then I'm going to grab my heat gun, so I'm going to be quiet for a minute while I go ahead and heat emboss this. Okay. And I think that all heat set okay. For it to cool enough that I can kind of feel over it. I love that kind of soft little bit of purpley tint. A few questions about that little, I got that from Yasmin several days ago. It's just like a little desktop vacuum. It's got these little brushes on the bottom. It's kind of just a handy for, I think it's designed for, or I've used it in the kitchen for like crumbs and stuff like that too, but it's kind of handy for stuff like embossing powder. It's still, you might see I had to pull my cloth out. I hate that feeling of embossing powder on my desk. So, all right, so there is that lovely little bit of plum tone. And then it's got that little bit of shine, so we're gonna get that heat embossing. Let me grab, there it is. grab this is the version I heat embossed in gold pearl, just to kind of show you the difference of another look that you can get. So, but we're going to use the purple one today because I think that's going to be super fun. So kind of excited to start ink blending with this. Okay, set that out of the way for now. Let's get our stencils out. This is just a 4-layer stencil set. So we have 2 for the flowers and 2 for the greenery. I'm going to mix and match. So this is where I'm kind of having fun today. I'm going to mix and match the lightest pink from 3 different of our pink color families. So I'm going to use a little bit of Ballet Slipper and Cherry Blossom on the first layer. And then the next layer, I'm going to mix Cherry Blossom and Coral Reef just for some fun variation and a little bit of difference. I love just kind of stretching those stencils and getting a little more options and creativity out of your sets. It's just a fun thing that you can do. And I love taking advantage of it. All right, so one thing I'll say, when you heat emboss, it tends to slightly warp the paper, which can make it a little trickier to line up your stencils. So there's a tiny bit of give and take. A lot of people will run just with a flat piece of printer paper, run it through like their die cut machine just to kind of flatten it out. I'm using pretty soft colors, so I'm just kind of layering it in there and doing the best I can. And these are, it's okay if they're a tiny bit whimsical or go slightly outside of the lines. I'm not too worried about that. And yes, I see Leah already answered, but yes, I used clear embossing powder over candy violet ink. So any colored ink, I stamped it for, and you can, I think it actually works better to do the reverse, to use the clear embossing ink, stamp it, then stamp your color over the top, and then it'll hold your embossing powder. But on this one, I stamped it first in this, and then cleaned my stamp slightly and stamped in the clear embossing ink, and then used the clear powder over the top. So a great way to customize your color to match whatever you want on your project. Okay, I'm gonna move those out of the way. I'm gonna get my first 2 ink colors here. And I've got my stencil taped over the top. You pull my blending brushes. I need the one for Ballet Slipper there. We're gonna need Coral Reef in a minute, but not yet. And that's the one for Cherry Blossom. So I'm gonna start here with Ballet Slipper to get our first bits of color. It's probably not going to show up a lot here on the live because it's a very, very soft, delicate color. Oh, but you know what? I already love that pink blending over the purple heat embossing. So I am just going to say that now. I'm already super tickled with how that's looking. It's just such a soft, pretty blend together. And I'm just kind of hitting, nothing too precise, but kind of roughly half of the image. Again, not an exact science, but I kind of wanted to go for an ombre effect with the 2 colors that I'm using. So I'm just kind of hitting the Ballet Slipper for part of the image. For these little ones, I'm more focusing on the soft ballet, on the larger florals. I'm just going to do the smaller, more like the little buds in my deeper tone, because I kind of figure those smaller ones, when they're not open, they're all closed up, they're probably going to be a deeper color tone, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to worry about that on those areas. Almost. That's probably the biggest stencil layer, so the one that's going to take the longest. All right, there's Cherry Blossom. And let's come in here now. I'm sorry, that was Ballet Slipper. Now we're coming in with Cherry Blossom. And I'm blending a little bit deeper on this one. But I love how all of our pinks work together so well. And again, really making that deeper on those little buds. And then coming in the other side. little ones at the bottom, and then we'll come up and do the same on those. So fun to see these come together. And then I'm just hitting on these big ones as well, just kind of the areas that I um, didn't put the ballet slipper as much. So we're kind of just hitting an opposite corner of these to get that little bit. We'll get that a little darker. Okay. I think that's pretty good for that first layer. So, and then those away for the moment. We'll get out the ones we need in a second. We'll keep cherry blossom, and then we'll add coral reef here. Let's do a quick clean the extra color off those stencils there. And let's check out that first layer. Look how pretty that purple with the pink over the top. I think this is going to be super fun. Okay. Pull up all those pieces of tape because we'll definitely want to reuse those. And I'm just moving right on to stencil 2. Feeling this one is going to be, yep, the easiest will be just to line up all of those little buds or little petals that didn't have color on them yet. Super easy. I'll show you once I get this tape down. If you look close, you've got like these areas, those buds, petal there, and some little buds down here and down there that didn't have color on them yet. Okay, so let's bring back the cherry blossom blending brush and then move up to the coral reef. And for this one, I'm gonna kind of just come in a little darker on some of the areas that I think before kind of had ballet slipper to start with. And then we'll blend in with coral reef on the other areas. Look over that one. Paying attention to where I'm adding this color so that I get. All right, I think that's good for that. And then we had to bring out coral reef as well. And it's just another tone, but it, as I said, it plays really beautifully all together, which is lovely. Those little buds especially, look at those in there. All right, kind of getting in the quiet zone of just focusing on my ink blending there, which is super fun and relaxing. So then my brain just kind of goes to my happy ink blending mode. Anybody else do that? Make sure I'm getting color where it needs to go. I think that got everything. Let's put the stencil back on if we need to, but let's do a quick check and see. I love that. All right, we've got good color in there. I think we're happy with that. I'll clean that stencil later because I didn't want to mess with cleaning it until I decided I liked how it looked. So now we've got that beautiful first layer of color there. So let me move some of my blending brushes out of the way. Okay, that goes there. The next colors I'm going to do for the greenery. Do a little interesting blending on here too. So I'm going to do spruce tips. And I'm going to add a little mulberry blush because a lot of times on these beautiful blossoms, you kind of have a little bit of kind of a purpley pink deep tone on the stems. So I want to go for a little hint of that. Not too much. What was someone said on the live, they were talking about glue and how much glue to put on something, and they said not too much, but enough. And I thought that was the best description ever. That's how we want to do with everything, is not too much, but enough. But it was so perfect. All right. Spruce tips is almost the deepest color, but I want to just make sure, kind of clean off that a little bit. And because my florals are so pastel and soft, I kind of want to keep my tones on this a little bit on the paler side as well. Because I really want this to be, not have the greenery really overpowering. So we're going for a really soft blend on these. Okay. And then ever so slightly, I'm gonna dab this off here. Oh, and you know what? Before I do that, I don't want to get green all over this blending brush. So I'm going to clean that a little bit. I'm just going to put a little hint of that tone at the base of some of these. Just a dab. I don't want to overpower that green. I just want to enhance that tone. Kind of being brave here because I wouldn't normally mix like pinks or reds with green, but I think it's going to work. So we're going to see if I'm correct. Oh yeah, I think that works. It wouldn't normally be a color that I would think this will be pretty together. Let's do that. But it felt like we might be able to pull it off. So leave that little bit ink there, and then we'll move up a nice deep blush forest. And on this one, I'll probably even more focus on that red tone. But I think there's some layers that are still on there we go. Just gotta kind of finagle this around here. There we go. Make sure I'm getting, so I'm mostly gonna focus on those other bits that go on the leaves. Sorry, my multitasking is not going at its best. I'm trying to focus here on getting this little layer lined up. All right, I think we got that there. Okay, so on this, like I just said, I'm going to use this a little mostly to kind of focus on where the leaves are. And I'm going to kind of let a little bit of it overflow there onto the branches ever so slightly because it just kind of merges over the top there. So by default, it's going to happen a little. And I don't want it to feel like a mistake where it kind of hits that. So it's going to be better if I just get a little bit on there already. And then, same as before, let's make sure we don't have any weird green to. Okay. This one, and then a little darker on than we did on the last layer. Oh, that was bad. Okay, I need to close that green one because I don't want to risk making that mistake. And I'm going to clean that brush just a little and get the green off of there. I knew I was going to do that too. That's what's funny. All right. Little rubbing alcohol on my microfiber cloth and crisis averted. All right, we'll try this again. Let's come in with that lovely mulberry tone. It's mostly hitting the branches there, but letting a little of it kind of go up. Same on the little bit of the leaves as well. And I love how it almost hits that purpley tone where it mixes with the greenery there too, which is kind of fun. All right, moment of truth when we have to see how it came out. I'm gonna do kind of a half peel reveal so that if I need to pop it back down and add anything else. Okay, that's really good. I think I actually want, I'm looking at that. It feels like it just needs one more little pop to deepen. How much? But I'm gonna kind of take a chance on it. This might be hopefully not the moment I regret. I'm gonna come in just with a tiny bit of Regal Kiss on some of the deepest areas. I just feel like the base of those might benefit from a little bit of that. Kind of just to get that little more, I don't know, a realistic branch look. And I think it'll blend well with the mulberry blush. Worst case, I'll learn a valuable lesson and I won't try that again, but I think it'll work. So I'm just gonna kind of go for it. All right, are we ready? Let's see if I succeeded or if I'm gonna have regrets there. Oh no, that was a good choice. That little bit of purple just kind of added that little pop I was looking for. Phew, okay, that was a little bit scary, I'm not gonna lie there. But I think that came out really fun. And the purple outline, that just kind of helped. I think it needed that little bit of the purple to pull in the heat embossing outline to kind of complete the look. So fun. Right. So I'm gonna get those tape pieces kind of out of the way and saved there. My blending brush is away. Make myself a little bit of space here to be able to move on to our next little bit here. Move those stencils because I'm gonna have to clean those later, but now is not the moment. And then I want my dies to use on this. And I think what I'm going to do, pull out my extended plates here. Now this is something Leah and I have talked about before. It's kind of our little hack system for extended plates. Someone had shared it with her. And these are Big Shot, Sizzix Big Shot extended plate. But if you use one on the bottom and you stack two together with 100-pound cardstock shim, it works perfectly. We will say it's not endorsed by Gemini. So if your plates are still under warranty or something, it's kind of at your own risk, but we've never had any problems with it. I always just like to make that distinction that be really careful if not. The other option that I almost thought I'd show here, if you don't have extended plates and you don't want to die cut these in one piece, I would just trim it carefully between these two or even in here, and then you could just die cut in two pieces, which still is way better than each of these dies having to be lined up individually. So to me, that's still well worth. All right, we're going to tape that down really well because I don't want any of this to move. Okay, now it looks like it's lined up well. I'm going to go run this through my die cut machine. long plates, so they take a while to go through the machine. Okay, that out of the way. But here are all of our beautiful little pieces of the Sakura Blossom. I'm going to save these with tape because we might still use these at some point. And all right, now we just need to work on the next little part of our card. Now, this next part for the framing, I'm going to use the new notch corner frame dies, but I kind of made a fun discovery on accident last week when we were doing the live, because I was cutting my center frame out for the shaker, and so keep all my scraps in there. And I had a leftover piece. So here I have one, the Ornate rectangle frame, that largest die. I cut that out, and because I don't want to waste any of this, I still have this in my package. And you could use that on a card pretty easily. I'm going to save these frames for another purpose down the road. See if I can get them. You know what? I'm going to do that later. Now it's not the time to fiddle with those. But I didn't want to waste these. And so I die cut my piece out of the center, and I happened to be careful when I lined it up. And once it die cut, I went, you know what? That made a really pretty and interesting new frame design. So I'm going to do that today. Sometimes it's just fun to see how things that you don't expect to interact well, and they give you kind of something new and fun that you never imagined. So I'm a big proponent of kind of playing with what you have and seeing what you can find. So let's see if I can get this. I did it on accident last time and got it lined up perfectly. So let's see if I can repeat that again here. I get my head in there and make sure it's all straight. Okay. Tape that down again really well. Okay, we're gonna go die cut this and I'll be right back. That worked, and it worked. So now I still have this piece I can save and use. But look at how pretty that came out as the frame, just like how ornate and unique that shape is. Isn't that kind of a fun, happy accident? I thought it was super fun. Wasn't something I was going for at all, but it just worked out well. So again, that is using the Ornate rectangle frame, linked in the video description. It's just that inner negative piece was what I had there. And then I cut the second largest of the plain frames from the center of it to get that different look. So that doesn't mean that's the only option. There might be some other dies that work really well to do something very similar, but kind of a unique way to put these to use. So I just wanted to share my fun accidental find. All right. I know, and who doesn't love frames, Amy? I agree. And that's kind of why I thought it's like a whole bonus frame that I didn't even know I had. So we're going to use some of these florals tucked in here. Now I need to pick which color of card base I want to go with. I kind of pre-did a few. These are all from just a pack of pink cardstock from Michaels. And I think I'm leaning towards on this one. Let's see. Either the darkest or one step down. Let's check all of them though. It actually kind of pops on that. You know what? This makes it super difficult. It kind of works on all of them. So now I'm really facing a dilemma on which one I want to use. Let's see. Now here's something fun. I kind of like those two pinks together. Or, I don't know, you guys. think I'm going to go with this pink for this one. I think that's just a good color. I think that matches. It's probably hard to see on camera, but that feels like the best choice right now. I think any single one of them would have worked. So you had lots of options. I want to add a little bit of texture. So I'm going to use, this is a previous release. It's the dotted chevron, one of our cover plate dies. If you look, we don't have the stitching around the edges. So I can do this right onto my card base and it's not going to cut. Then I can just score and fold and I'll keep my card base as one layer still. Now this probably would stay in place. I always like to just catch it with a tiny bit of adhesive, not too much because I don't want to have to try and peel it off the back there, and fold it around to the other side. That way it's just going to hold and not shift and move. Betty Blythe, yeah, it's from Michaels. It's just one of their packs of pink paper. All right, I'm going to run this through my die cut machine as well. All right, let's peel this off of here. But look at that fun texture now that we have. It just kind of adds a little bit of soft interest that I love. And now that I've done this, I can score and fold that. And then we'll have our card base ready to go. I could have scored it before, but it's just, for me, it's easier to do it once I've done the cover plate. Then I know it's going to stay nice and flat and easy to put through my machine. All right. So I know I'm going to want to pop my frame up on foam adhesive, of course. So I'm going to grab some foam adhesive strips. But real quick before I do that, I'm just going to kind of make a little bit of a plan of how I want to attach these. And I think, let's see. I'm going to try and just tuck that one in there maybe, and then let's see. Which one do I want? Or no, you know what? Maybe I want. I think I'm going to do, actually, I think I'll stick this one here. I think that's a good fit there. I'm going to snuggle that in there. And if this one kind of goes in there and then keep that tucked under the frame. See how that works. Or do we want? I might have to do some. Nope, not that one. Play with some different arrangements here. Got to pick what. Oh, now that kind of works. I do kind of like that. And then maybe even this one kind of. No, I don't know. I don't love. Nope, I think just those two. It's actually pretty good. I think the only other alternative I need to check is if I like. It's not bad either, but I think I'm just happy with that one. And then pop that up. So I'll have a few extras that can go on the inside or the envelope or whatever we decide we want to do. And then we just need to make sure we can pick a sentiment that we like that's going to fit on there well. So got that A Good Life is a collection of happy moments. Friends like you are a blessing. We're wonderful. I think I like that. Friends like you are a blessing. I think that's a good fit on there. So I think we'll stamp that. And I think I'm going to just do that. Pretty sure I'm just going to do that in detail black. I think I'm going to keep that kind of simple. We've got a lot of other stuff going on. Yeah, kind of tangled with my disposable there. So we'll try that in detail black for now. We can always switch that up if decide that I want to do that. So, and then of course, yes, gems will go on there too, if that's what someone was saying. You might have been talking about something different. So if you were, then just ignore me. I'm debating between doing that sentiment in the detail black like this, or either in the Regal Kiss or Lush Forest. So you might have to stamp out some options and then decide. There it is in detail black, which I think is going to work pretty well, but we'll try one of the others as well, just for fun. My first choice will be probably that Regal Kiss. I've got lots of scraps, and if I don't use them on this, then I'll use them on another card because that's a great sentiment. So let's try that Regal Kiss and see what we think. Sorry, goodness, it's going a little bit off camera there. That actually was a great impression on the first one. That's going to soften a little, of course. If you're not familiar with dye inks, that's one of the properties is they take a little bit of time to dry, and then the color kind of softens down and you get a little bit of a different look. And then we'll do Lush Forest too, just for good measure, because then we'll have all the options, right? And it looks like that stamped great on that first one, so I'm not even going to restamp that because we've got that great image and we're just going to leave it alone. All right, there it is. Out of the way for now, and then we'll pick which one of these we like. We might have to die cut them all, but detailed black. That Regal Kiss is pretty great. So is the Lush Forest. It's a small difference. I'm gonna die cut them all out and let them keep drying. And that'll give us time to fully decide what we want to do. Let's get those coordinating dies. There they are. Putting a die here, and we'll get these die cut using my little bitty die cut machine. This is the kind of my die cut machine of choice for sentiments and stuff. It's the little Blossom mini die cutting machine from Altenew. Very handy for things like this. So there we have it in detail black. I'm going to keep my scraps here because I'll probably cut extra pieces from these to create some dimensional layers here for my sentiment. There's another one. There it is in Lush Forest, which is starting to kind of dry and soften up a little bit. And then one final one here from that Regal Kiss. Where did I put? There it is. Okay. Yeah, I know the sentiments. Phil Gilmore said this is her favorite suite in the release. I really love the sentiments in this one too. All right. So I've got to pop that little chat out of the center. But really quickly, I'm going to use my scraps here and just see if I can just barely squeeze. Oh, yes. I could have snuggled that sentiment a little further over to give myself more room, but I can still get another layer out of here. There's one layer. Just get every bit out of this that I can. Even if it cuts a tiny bit off, it doesn't matter. I don't know what the discussion was. I think I missed the beginning of it for holding a die in place. One thing, I'll add a suggestion. If someone's talking about trying to hold the die in place with washi tape, I haven't used it in a while, but I remember a while back, and if I'm totally talking about the wrong thing, then just ignore this, or maybe this will be a tip for somebody anyway. Let me see if I can find it. Yep, I still have it here. Sometimes for holding the washi, you need something a little more sturdy. And so I have this purple tape. It's just, I don't know if you can see on the inside, Scotch Delicate Surface Tape. And I found a little bit of that. It's just enough stickier on the washi that it helps to tape it down really well and hold it in place. So this is another tape option. I just got it from Home Depot, just like the paint section, I believe. So Scotch Delicate Surface purple tape. So, and again, if that doesn't relate at all to what anyone was asking, then ignore that, because I very much know I missed the beginning of that conversation. So I was trying to catch up and figure it out from the other comments. So, but like I said, that's helped me. Having the extended plate did make it easier. But I think when I used to use a different manual die cut machine, I might have sometimes had some trouble, and that helped me. So if you're struggling a little with trying to get washi to stay stable and still, that's a good idea. All right. That out of the way. And then I'm gonna pop all these little miscellaneous pieces out of here. And then all of them, and then we'll pick which color we're gonna use and layer those up, and then kind of get everything adhered down. And then we should be winding this card up here. It might go a minute or two over, but I'm gonna do my best not to. All right. Regal Kiss. Lush Forest. I'm kind of feeling the Lush Forest. I feel like it brings that green in a little bit. Nothing wrong with Detail Black either, but it's an easy decision now that I have it on there. So I'm totally going with that. That's great. He set your husband out for green tape and he brought home purple and said he would like it better. That's kind of great one. I bet he loved being right about that, and you loved that he got something even better. All right. Quickly stack these up, and then I just need to get some foam adhesive there on my frame. And then we need to get all those flowers carefully adhered down as well. A little bit of liquid glue here. I just realized I didn't probably need to do as many layers, but we're here and committed, so these are happening. And then the last one, because that's the stamped one that's most important. Let me put the lid back on my glue here because I don't need that for a little bit. Save those for a later card. And these are going to be easy enough to tuck in, but I want to keep, just going to leave just going to give myself a little little dot of where I don't want to put. So no foam adhesive there. That way I can tuck that flower in there. Because my brain needs the extra help of marking it so I don't mess up and put it somewhere that I don't want to. And then I just have to make sure I still put that up at the top. Right. That was the perfect length to go there. So that's handy. I'm using some pre-cut foam strips. Makes this task even better to get some foam adhesive on there. And we'll just put a little dab in each of those corner bits, just for stability. They're not super critical, but it's going to help hold everything stable. And that won't interfere even with my little marked spot there. I think someone's talking about how quick we get. And yes, we prep an hour before. We probably even think about it longer than this. Like I told you, that frame, that was something I've been holding on to since last week when Leah and I did our combined live with that set. Okay. All right. That needs to go. That's my little marked spot. So make sure that goes up in the upper left-hand corner. And then let's get this centered carefully on here. That's a great start there. So then let's just kind of do a little fluffing up of these floral pieces. And this one goes down here, and this one goes up there. Make sure I get those. All right, and that's going to slide right up through there. So let's put a little bit of foam adhesive. It's not going to take much, really just enough to kind of hold it stable there. Before I stick that down, I'm going to make sure I like where I'm tucking those. Okay. Also going to grab, where's my little scissors? I'm just going to trim that little bit of the branch off that's poking behind. Don't have to, but it's just a small, more finished look that I think I'm going to appreciate. And then these I'm going to do with foam, or not foam adhesive. Instead of foam adhesive, I'm going to do a little bit of liquid glue because I think I'm going to like that kind of adhered a little more, touching on that frame. And we'll do the same down on this one. I'm just going to tuck in there. Although as I'm doing that, I realize it needs a little tiny bit of foam adhesive there at the bottom. So just grab a piece of both sides of the tape and tuck that. Beautiful. That's perfect. All right. Then this, we need some foam adhesive on the side of that, and then a little less where it overlaps on the frame. And I made it really sturdy and dimensional. So keep in mind that even if I don't like super heavily back that with foam adhesive, it's got 4 layers of cardstock. So it's gonna stay stable and sturdy even without that support of the foam adhesive. So it almost makes it more like a chipboard embellishment there. Okay, and then a little liquid glue for over there where it's gonna overlap. Let's tuck that. Overlap that. Nope, we'll just tuck it under there. There we go. Wanted it to go a little under that bloom there. Okay, I gotta check one more thing. It probably won't, but I want to see if I want that extra little floral. I got glue on that. Forgot I had glue on there. I want to see if there's anywhere that it kind of looks cute on there. That actually isn't too bad, kind of popping out there maybe. Mm-mm. I don't know. I could kind of take or leave that. I think I'm going to leave it for now. I might ponder that a little bit later, but I'm not going to get sucked into that too much. And this is such, like, I feel like this card just looks like spring. And I'm going to take a minute until I know we're running close to our, well, we're right on our time, but I'm going to take just a few seconds. I'll kind of watch here in case Leah wants to announce the winner in case any of you need to go. But I feel like this card is just going to need that finishing pop of the bling on there. So I'm going to take a second to do that. And then I'll wind down here and announce the winner. So these new gems I have discovered, you can put them either way, but I really love them upside down. So the smaller side is down and then the bigger, flatter part is facing up. I just feel like it gives an even more sparkly effect. I don't know how else to describe that. And they come in two sizes there, and I'm mixing and matching, using some of the smaller sizes in the smaller areas, and then the bigger ones, of course, on the bigger flowers. Making sure that I like how those are all on there. I think that's going to work. Okay, and I see today's winner is Lita Moore. I don't know if I said your last name right, but congratulations. You are the winner of today's $15 gift card. All of the info you need to claim your prize there is added onto that comment. But go ahead and email Leah. Her name is Lea at pinkfreshstudio.com. Give her a few days to get back to you. We kind of have a busy week catching up, but she'll get that gift card sent out to you. All right. And actually, I'm going to switch that one out with a smaller one because I don't want to hide all of the little detail there. I'm also going to do a smaller one there. Sorry, having my second thoughts as I'm in the process of adhering them down. I love that the center of these are now in that purple tone because we had embossed with the candy violet color, which is super fun. Smaller one needs to go here as well. Okay, and one more up here, and then I think the other thing I have to decide is, do I want, I think I do. I think I'm going to add, I will glue these down after the live, but I'm going to add a little trio down here on this corner, and then I'll do the same thing up on this corner, just because I think that's going to be a tiny extra bit of sparkle that's going to be really pretty on these. Okay, so I'm just putting them on there so you can kind of see. It's subtle, but I think it's going to be really pretty. So see if I can carefully hold that up without those falling. But there's that extra little sparkle with the ones in those two corners. And it just kind of draws the eye right down to where my sentiment is. All right. I'll try not to make a mess of those while I switch my camera around. And thank you everybody for joining me today. Thank you for letting me go just those couple minutes over. Hopefully it was worth it. I really I'm super happy with how that card came out. So congratulations again to Lita. Thank you for joining us, each and every one of you. And this is, let's see, we do have scrapbooking live this week. I don't remember if it's Natalie or I believe it's Natalie. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Natalie this week. So I hope I'll see you then. I will be in the comments on Thursday, same time, same place, just scrapbooking. And if you have not joined our scrapbooking lives, we always have lots of fun tips and tricks that can be incorporated into card making or might just make you want to dip your toe into scrapbooking. I always feel inspired after them as well. And then that should wrap up our lives for this week. So I hope I see you then and have a great rest of your week, everybody. Bye.